tonight on GamePlan.
Touchdown pass, 5-4-0 in the 504.
History is in the rearview mirror as the Saints hit the road to Tennessee.
We're hitting the home stretch here where we want to be playing our best football.
We're laying out the path to a win over the Titans and how to secure home field advantage. Plus, Sean breaks down the film from a Monday night dismantling of the Colts. Jeff Duncan discusses the impact of Janoris Jenkins. And Chris Hagan sets the scene for the final weeks of fantasy football.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
Fresh off their most complete win of the season, the Saints head to Nashville for a Week 16 clash with the Tennessee Titans. Welcome to Game Plan. With Juan Kincaid, I'm Sean Fazan.
Gotta win, gotta win, gotta win. It really is that simple as the Saints head into Week 16 of the regular season.
I still think there's more to be desired with some of the things that we're doing. There's definitely room for improvement. You know, you come off a game like that and you say, all right, well, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good all the way around, but each opponent, requires a different game plan, a different kind of mindset and, a different set of keys to victory, so to speak, right? And so it presents its own set of challenges. And so from week to week, we've got to execute the plan and overcome those challenges.
Here's today's injury report. Guys that did not participate: Von Bell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Larry Warford dealing with an knee issue. 5 guys on the limited list: Andrews Pete, Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk, Kiko Alonso, and Patrick Robinson. The Saints locked up their playoff spot a while ago. Now it's all about some way, somehow, getting that top seed.
As for the Titans, the playoffs are still a possibility. Thus, the Saints know they cannot take them lightly. When breaking down the Tennessee Titans, it starts with their quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Once a franchise quarterback in Miami, Tannehill signed with Tennessee this year as a backup, but took over the job mid-season and has played some of the best football of his career.
Good football player. He can make all the throws. Very dynamic with his legs, good awareness, good football player. A.J.
Brown has become Tannehill's top target. He's averaging 19 yards per catch. And, of course, it helps to have a workhorse in the backfield like Derrick Henry, who, despite being a little banged up, is still second in the league in rushing yards with over 1,300 this year.
He's bigger than Fournette, isn't he? I mean, he looks like he's 6'3", 6'4". I'm not going to mention my former teammate Mark Ingram's picture when they were at the championship game.
You don't have to. Somebody did already.
Okay, cool. My bad, Mark. But when you talk about, a sizable running back, it's probably been some years since we faced a guy like him. Was Brandon Jacobs? Might be the last one like that?
Probably.
But I mean, when he gets to that second level, he's creating problems.
Defensively, Harold Landry leads their team in sacks, while Logan Ryan leads their team in tackles and is tied with Kevin Byard for the team lead in interceptions with 4. Also roaming the back end is a familiar face, former Saints first-round pick, Kenny Vaccaro.
He's doing great. Listen, he was a great player for us. He brought a physical, brand of play and a mentality, and I appreciate those 5 years with Kenny and happy for the success he's having.
The Saints have not been to Tennessee since 2011. They won that game 22-17 thanks to a last-second stop by Joline Dunbar near the goal line.
Joline Dunbar. The Titans are a team the Saints have struggled to beat with only 1 win in their last 6 meetings. Something to look forward to this Sunday. The newest addition to the Saints secondary. Just how much Janoris Jenkins plays. The Saints claimed the veteran, the cornerback, off of waivers on Monday. He was previously with the Giants, has 8 years under his belt, 22 career interceptions, which means he has a nose for the ball. Jenkins was in practice today, and afterwards he talked about his new surroundings.
I felt amazing. I'm just happy to be here, man. I like the way they work around here. I love Coach, how he coaches guys. I'm just ready to play football.
We value the player, especially the position. It's always a difficult position to find. He's a guy that I can recall going through the evaluation process when he was a free agent and going to New York. So we played the Giants twice since then. We think that he does have position flex. He's smart, and this is a short week, obviously, now coming off a Monday game, but he's in the building and working right now, meeting and doing all the things that everyone else is doing.
I'm just ready to play football. Inside, outside, it don't matter. I'm just here to play football. and do it to the best of my ability.
The secondary has been a sore spot for the Saints this year, especially the side that Eli Apple is on. It remains to be seen what the plan is for Jenkins going forward.
Look, on the field was not Jenkins' problem in New York. Do you think he perhaps cleans his act up here in New Orleans?
2 words: playoff football. He wasn't going to have that with the Giants. He will with the Saints. So I expect him to be on his best behavior. Plus, he has an $11 million option next year that he'd like for the Saints to pick up. Oh, he'll be minding his P's and Q's.
Yeah, I think you're right. Still to come on Game Plan, we head to the film room. We break down how Drew Brees' record-breaking touchdown pass was set up before the ball was even snapped. Drew Brees! And you can have Saints Talk on demand with the Fox 8 Overtime podcast. We just released our weekly preview of the Black and Gold matchup. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review it. You can find our podcast on fox8live.com, the Final Play app, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Drew Brees!
Dealer. You're watching Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
Cam Jordan has been a busy man this holiday season. The latest shopping spree for the 2017 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees saw Carl Reed Jr. and Kamari Johnson selected as winners of Walmart and Body Armor's Student Athlete Community Excellence Award. That honor came with a $1,000 shopping spree and the comedic joy of shopping with Cam Jordan.
What's in, y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all good? What up, little bro? How you doing? Cam, Jordan, nice to meet you.
Kamari Johnson.
Kamari? Perfect. And Carl, right? Perfect.
Help her, Cam. She's
I don't know nothing about no Apple Watch. Hey, regular watch. Ooh, I like your watch, though. Okay. Look, I got the wife Apple Watch. I don't know nothing about no Apple Watch. That's where they track you. I love it.
What are you getting there?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we big trainer, huh? I feel that part.
No one in NFL history has thrown more touchdown passes than number 9, Drew Brees.
And on a record-breaking night, how could we not have the record-breaking play as the subject of this week's film study?
Fazan's Film Breakdown is brought to you by GMC. See your local GMC dealer.
The Saints are in their base personnel of 2 backs, 1 tight end, and 2 receivers. The receivers are both lined up on the right. The Colts' defensive alignment is what told Drew Brees this play would be successful. The linebackers are in tight to stop the run. The safety, Corey Willis, is lined up outside of Josh Hill, but on the line of scrimmage, not back deep in space. The defense is telling Brees they are out to stop the run. On the snap, Hill does a great job of selling run by blocking hard on the defensive end. This convinces Willis to crash hard towards the backfield to stop the run. But right when Brees fakes the handoff, Willis knew he was fooled. Hill peels off his block, then drifts out into the end zone wide open to score a touchdown. And for Brees, it was the record breaker.
Now, I have no idea why in that scenario with the record on the line, the Colts would think run on that play, but Brees sure did make it look easy, something he's done a lot of here since 2016.
When Drew Brees is dialed in, everything looks easy, and it's hard for the defense. With his 29 completions, Drew Brees was able to spread the ball around against the Colts, but he always managed to come back to his most reliable receiver, Michael Thomas. And every time Brees threw it Thomas's way, it was caught. 12 targets, 12 completions to the guy that continues to prove that he cannot be guarded. Thomas now has 133 catches, meaning he needs just 11 more to eclipse Marvin Harrison's record of 143. And the way he and Brees are on the same page right now, that record won't be standing for long.
It's like laser-like focus. We're always trying to get better. We're always trying to enhance our abilities, and we're always trying to help this team when they need us and make big plays.
Mike Thomas gets open, so that's first and foremost. Listen, I've got so much trust and confidence in him, and we've got a lot of time on task together. So there's just, so much of our offense has nuances to it as far as the route being run and the direction that you can go or the angle that you can take based upon how the defender's playing you or the defense or the safety or whatever it might be. And we've had a lot of time together, and so there's that trust and anticipation. And he knows when the ball's coming out, he knows where it's going to be, he knows where he needs to be, and when things are clicking, that's the result.
It's a blessing to have a guy like that in your corner. He leads by example. He does it tremendously week in and week out, from when he first walks into the building to when he leaves. You can always count on him. You can watch his preparation, and you can just feel his demeanor, how serious he is about this.
And you and I are in agreement that we would not be surprised if Thomas broke Harrison's record this Sunday against the Titans and then adds to it against Carolina in the regular season finale, December 29th.
11 catches. That ain't nothing. Still to come on Game Plan. Is this offense playing their best football at the perfect time? Our own Jeff Duncan will join us in studio next to discuss.
Celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
Can't let down. I mean, you want to be able to put, continuous games, good games on film. And so I think that's probably one of the most important things. What kind of depth do we have? We've had guys to be able to step in just because you do have guys that are banged up. Can they be healthy? That'll be the biggest question.
Saints Hall of Famer Deuce McAllister with us once again this Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to preview the game, and Sunday night at 10:30 to wrap it all up. Come Monday, you can catch Deuce at 8 a.m., 5 p.m., and at 10:35. All of that right here on Fox 8. Once again, back with us, Jeff Duncan from The Athletic and also a contributor here at Fox 8. Was Monday night a reminder of just how dangerous this offense can be when they're clicking on all cylinders and Drew Brees is clicking?
I think the last 2 weeks have been. They're finally kind of getting that balance again, and Drew Brees is definitely in a groove. And I think the underrated factor going on right now, despite some of the injuries up front, the offensive line is playing terrific.
Yeah.
Haven't given up a sack in 3 games, giving him protection, and we all know when Brees gets protection, he can dissect any defense.
A little bit of a notice to the rest of the league. This is a force to be reckoned with when they're playing as well as they've been playing. The last 2 weeks have been phenomenal. Against Indianapolis, that might have been as close to perfection from a quarterback as we've seen, and it's been quite a lot of incredible performances by Drew Brees. Best game I've ever seen him play, quite frankly. So, yes, I do think it was a reminder that, hey, rest of the NFL, this is still the Saints offense, an offense that can shred you if you don't take it serious.
And the rest of the NFL, specifically the NFC, very, very tight right now. 4 teams, 11-3. I cannot remember the last time it was this tight at the top of it.
And it's really hard right now to figure out who the favorite is in the conference. Some like the Saints, some prefer the 49ers. The Packers are 11-3. Minnesota's the team that's right there as well as Seattle. It doesn't feel like there's a runaway front runner in the conference like last year was the Saints and Rams. This year, there's 3 or 4, maybe even 5 teams that could legitimately come out of this conference. So absolutely, this is as good and as stacked on the top end of a conference as I've seen really the last few years.
And look, I think it's going to be wide open once the playoffs start. And by that, I mean, I think road teams can win a lot of games in these playoffs. I don't think there's a front runner at all, although I do like the way the Saints are coming on. Drew Brees keeps using the word, we want to be an ascending team. They're starting to look like one.
Yeah. Is there a concern, 2 games to go, both games on the road, of this team having a letdown?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be a letdown now. I think this game coming up against the Titans is going to be very tough because you got a desperate team coming off a loss in an environment where, frankly, the Saints aren't comfortable or used to playing. They haven't played there very often. This team's going to be desperate to stay in the playoff hunt. So this is going to be a slugfest. There's no doubt about it. Mike Vrabel, of course, comes from that Bill Belichick coaching tree, and they build along both lines. So it's going to be one in the trenches, and I think the Saints better bring their big boy pads, as Deuce McAllister says.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a physical game. It's a physical team, a team coming off a loss, a team that's going to be hungry, going to be desperate. I don't know if it's going to be a letdown as much as it's going to be a tough opponent. And like you said, Jeff, this is a place they haven't played in quite some time, not since 2011. So, uncommon opponent on the road. But I have always said this, and I've said it every week, and Jeff, you would agree, this has been a very business-like locker room. And I think this team right now understands right now is the time to play their best football. So I do expect a good performance by the Saints on Sunday.
So one thing we're looking at with the Saints and the offense, Michael Thomas, 11 receptions away from breaking Marvin Harrison's record. Think he breaks in this game?
I think it's going to be tough. This is a very good secondary, one of the best secondaries in the NFL, and I think they're going to try and concentrate on Mike Thomas more so than what we've seen lately. So I would expect that streak. I'll be surprised if it happens against a Titans team that has good corners, very good safeties.
Jeff Duncan and Deuce McAllister say no, but I say yes.
Yeah.
I think he gets it. Double-digit catches are kind of a regular thing with him. 11 catches, well within the norm of a normal afternoon. Even when he's covered, he runs a lot of routes where he gets a lot of completions. It's not like there are a lot, he can run short routes and get completions. He gets run after catch. So I'd say yes. I think 11 catches is attainable, and I think it's going to happen on Sunday.
I was thinking about in the past history of Drew Brees throwing to guys. Is this the best relationship he's ever had? And you're thinking about him and Jimmy Graham, him and Antonio Gates. He's had some pretty good targets to throw to in the past. Is this the best, him and Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves. The way he's used, the high volume of catches, how he never seems to be guarded. I mean, you think about Colston, he was great at the seam, but I mean, there were ways defensively you can kind of take him out of the game. Jimmy Graham the same way. I remember Bill Belichick playing, was it Aqib Talib in that game back in 2013 on him? So no one has ever figured out a way to stop Michael Thomas yet. So I'm going to say yes, this is the best relationship he's had with a wide receiver.
And here's the thing, Michael Thomas has advanced as a receiver. He runs every route in the route tree now. That wasn't the case when he came here. And he's gotten on that same page telepathically with Drew Brees the way Marcus Colston used to get, where they know where each other is going, what each other is thinking. Very hard to defend that because the Saints do so much of the option route variety where they can just take whatever, however, they play off however the defensive back's defending them. And Mike Thomas has got such great hands, such a strong point of attack on the contested catch. Very difficult to stop.
We got a chance to hear from Janoris Jenkins, the newest pickup from the Saints. Basically, he said, I'm happy to be at a different location now. Happy to be having a chance to play in playoff football this year. What do you see his role as being, and how might it increase as this regular season winds down?
Well, I think he's more comfortable playing outside. He has played in the slot before. I think he's insurance right now for the Saints in the secondary, experienced insurance. But I'm not sure he's going to supplant Eli Apple at this point. He's got a lot to learn. But we've seen in the past, they've thrown guys in. Remember when they picked up Eli Apple last year? He was immediately in the starting lineup. Jenkins, I think, has more talent than Eli Apple overall, but I'm not sure that he's ready to start and supplant Eli Apple. What I heard today from Sean Payton is a guy trying to build up the confidence of Eli Apple.
I was going to say, because Sean Payton said today, when asked that question, might he be a starter, he says, we'll see. He's not saying no, that he couldn't come in and take Eli Apple's job. He's saying, we'll see how it plays out, and the best guy will get the opportunity.
Well, look, I think Eli Apple is your starter this week and probably next week. And then if there are troubles, you have another quality football player in the secondary. You can't have enough of those guys, in particular with the injuries that they've had in the secondary. They also signed DJ Swearinger as well, another safety. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Von Bell both missed practice on Wednesday. So I just think it's another quality. They put in a claim for Terrell Suggs. Yeah. They're just trying to get good football players for the back stretch here.
Do you like the chances of the Saints getting help down the stretch? Because they can do all they can do on their side, win the last two games. They still need the Packers to lose. They still need the 49ers to lose.
Yeah, I like their chances. At the very least, of getting the 2 seed and getting that first round bye. I don't know, the 1 seed, you need a couple things to happen. So I do like them getting enough help to get to the 2 seed. Hopefully you get the 1. But look, to me, if you get the first round bye, that's what matters the most, as opposed to getting the 1 versus the 2. If you get the 2, I think you're fine. Because as Jeff said earlier, I think a road team can win some games in the playoffs.
Yeah, look, I think Minnesota is going to beat Green Bay on Monday night. In that environment, on the road, big rivalry game. Green Bay, I think, has got their hands full.
Yeah.
And then the Saints just need to win out. They win out, I agree with Sean. They're going to get one of those top 2 seeds, get that bye, get rested up. It's a big difference between playing 3 games in a row, trying to get to the Super Bowl, and playing 2.
Those are all 3 very cold locations to have to go to in January. But you're right. Saints are built this year to win on the road as well. Jeff, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. That's Jeff Duncan from The Athletic. Thanks for your time on that. Coming up here on the show, get your pen and paper out because Chris Hagan will do his very best to help you set your fantasy football lineup for Week 16.
By your Southern Quality Ford dealers. You're watching Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers in the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
We've talked a lot about the Titans' running game with Derrick Henry, but watch out for this trend. Tennessee really likes to test the secondary on their opening drive. In 14 games, they've gone deep 10 times in the opening series. 4 have been completions for a combined 157 yards. They also got a big defensive pass interference. There were 3 incompletions and 2 sacks. Remember, the Colts had the same idea on their first play from scrimmage when they took a shot at Eli Apple.
The Keys to the Game is sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers in the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership.
It won't be long until the fantasy football bank will be open. Straight cash, homie. Winner take all. So the moves you make to that roster today better be good ones.
And just in case you need some pointers on how to finish strong, Chris Hagan is here to help guide you in this week's Extra Point.
The last week of the fantasy football season is obviously the most important. And to start, I stick with a piece of advice that I always remind myself of too. Go with who got you there. If there are little things to tweak, like a kicker or a better defense to play, that's fine. But typically at this point, fantasy trends are well established. Let's start with my absolute favorite matchup of the week to produce big fantasy numbers, Houston at Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson are big play quarterbacks, and especially Watson has a chance to go off against a really bad Bucs secondary. The only small red flag I would have would be Jameis Winston's lack of options at receiver, with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both dealing with hamstring injuries. But, as we saw with his 3 touchdowns against Detroit last week, Brashad Perryman is a more than capable replacement. The next matchup I like a lot is the Falcons against the slumping Jaguars. Atlanta is very much still playing for pride, and Matt Ryan remains a great option if you're in need at quarterback. In fact, you'd probably be better off starting Ryan than Tom Brady, who didn't have any success against the Bills back in Week 4, passing for just 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. At running back, expect the usual suspects to be your starters, but I also like the Broncos' backfield against Detroit. Expect a nice bounce-back game from Phillip Lindsay and possibly Royce Freeman as well. Also at running back, if he's available or you're on the fence about playing him, go with Adrian Peterson against the Giants. The future Hall of Famer has a touchdown in each of the last 3 games, and without Darius Geis, there's not much competition to take carries away from Peterson. And finally, I know Michael Gallup can be hot and cold, but against the Eagles, I think he has the chance to send your fantasy team out on top with a bang. He and Amari Cooper should produce against one of the worst secondaries in the league, even on the road. Reporting for GamePlan, I'm Chris Hagan.
Our coverage certainly doesn't stop here. We'll be right back on Sunday morning for a Fox 8 Live tailgate. You don't want to miss that one, 10 a.m. from Nashville. Getting you ready for the Saints and Titans at high noon. At 3:25, a must-see game, NFC East showdown between the Cowboys and Eagles. Our reports began on Fox 8 News at 9, leading up to the final play. You know the time, 10:30.
And of course, you can always get in touch using the Final Word feature on the Final Play app. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for watching Game Plan, and thanks to everyone here at Fox 8 for their contributions. Our next newscast is at 4:30 in the morning. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle law.